Finches, evolution by natural selection. Darwin revolutionized the scientific community with his studies of the Galapagos Islands. Many people believed humans, plants, and animals did not change over time. It is seen that the religious society did have a hard time accepting his theories. Nevertheless, it was Darwin's persistent attitude and constant research that proved to be the difference between skeptical theories and widely accepted factual evidence. One of Darwin's close colleagues, Sir Charles Lyell, stated,
"The entire variation from the original type which any given kind of change can produce may usually be effected in a brief period of time, after which no further deviation can be obtained by continuing to alter the circumstances, though ever so gradually, indefinite divergence either in the way of improvement or deterioration being prevented, and the least possible excess beyond the defined limits being fatal to the existence to the individual."
This shows that species do evolve, but it takes a long period of time. Darwin proved this evolutionary change through his studies of his plant and animal life on the islands. He used these studies in order to explain why certain species live longer than other species, and why it is necessary for species to change. According to botanist De Candolle,
"A species is a collection of all the individuals which resemble each other more than they resemble anything else, which can by mutual fecundation produce fertile individual, and which reproduce themselves by generation in such a manner that they may from analogy suppose them all to have sprung from one single individual."
This is a very fundamental idea for such people like Darwin to expand on. On Darwin's voyage of the Beagle, he kept a very detailed journal of all his findings. At first, he did not have any idea that the data and details he recorded of the finches were going to have such significance on the establishment of his theories. He was very adamant about learning the significance of geography on the distribution of species, so that he could further establish an explanation of why the individuals in the species had specific traits. Using his studies of geographical distribution of species, it was feasible to connect one bird that eats leaves and has a thinner beak with a certain part of the island. Furthermore, it was plausible that the location of the bird was a significant reason for why the bird adapted to its environment. All finches exhibit a difference in lifestyle and characteristics. The large ground finch has a broad, wide beak that is used for cracking hard seeds, whereas the cactus ground finch has a long, curved beak used for reaching down into the cactus flower. It was with the help of John Gould, an ornithologist, that it was determined that the birds were ground finches, a new group containing 12 species. Evolution is the change in genetic material of a population in order to adapt to their environment, which is what occurred with the Galapagos Island finches. The factors that cause evolution are natural selection, migration or gene flow, genetic drift, and mutation. A specific factor that Darwin focused on was the idea of natural selection.
He was trying to show that it was possible that transmutation of species had occurred, and that natural selection, the preservation by the environment of specially well-adapted variation, was a possible explanation, and that these explanations fitted the facts better than any others.
Natural selection introduces the process of an organism surviving and successfully reproducing by heritable traits, thus making them common in a population. The finches that did not adapt to the environment were not as successful as those that did, and were probably not likely to survive and produce fruitfully. So those who adapt the quickest and adapt to their fullest potential are more likely to carry on the existence of a species than those who are not as fit. Over time, the adaptations can result in the emergence in new species, as seen with the finches. The idea is crucial to the foundation of modern biology. As the diagram demonstrates, the theory of natural selection leads to evolution. In biological terms, the change in genetic material of organisms in a population is the concept of evolution. The changes that occur from one generation to another can be small, but accumulate over time and can ultimately lead to the emergence of a new species. Evolution is influenced by genetic drift, which allows chance to play a role on passing down genetic traits and natural selection. Evolution is directly connected to Darwinism and its theories before it evolved into many other movements and concepts. In the 19th century, natural selection was the sole factor of evolution. Darwin's fundamental laws explained how his theory worked.
The first is the power of rapid multiplication and the geometrical progression. The second, that the offspring always vary slightly from the parents through generally very closely resembling them.
Darwinism became a great connection to evolutionary philosophies in biology and society for many scientists. Not only was his theory accepted by most of the scientific community, but it was expanded on and even applied to human existence. In Wallace's Darwinism, it is stated,
"We thus find that the Darwinian theory, even when carried out to its extreme logical conclusion, not only does not oppose, but lends a decided support to a belief in a spiritual nature in man."
The scientific community related Darwin's study of the Galapagos Island finches, natural selection, and concept of evolution to human evolution. Darwin's study on the Galapagos Islands proves to be the foundation of modern biology and has influenced many scientists' views on natural selection and evolution. Without these studies, we would be missing crucial evidence of evolution.